GUNTALK continues now in a more informal setting. Get ready for an on-topic, off-topic free-for-all featuring Tom, call screener Michelle, and GUNTALK producer Jim. Now, lazily bon ton roulette. In Louisiana, that means let the after show good times roll.
All right, it's the after show where we get together and chat about this and about that. We have Jim. Hello, Jim.
Greetings, sir. How are you?
And the lovely Michelle.
Hello, everyone. How are you, Tim?
How are you? I heard that all of a sudden you got mad at Jim.
Not really.
Not really, except that. What has happened here?
Well, Jim, as you know, had to purchase a 327, which swiftly got taken away.
Right, because he had revolver envy because you had your Ruger revolver at 327.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yes.
And we were discussing triggers and the double action and whatnot. And my husband, who does gunsmithing, has been gunsmithing for several years, was able to do a trigger job on my firearm. Mm-hmm. And Jim felt it, and he was like, oh. He had a little more envy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he brought his pistol over to our store and had my husband do some trigger work on his pistol as well. Mm-hmm. And it came out extremely nice, very smooth, very crisp, which of course isn't just about the trigger, you know.
Right. It's not about the weight as much as it is about the smoothness.
Right. And I said to Jim, I was like, oh, I think that might be better than mine.
Well, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like you don't have a bone to pick with Jim. You need to go have a discussion with your husband.
No. The gun's very nice, and it's amazing. It's just a little bit of something.
And I should offer, what people don't understand is that you probably could get pretty close to that by shooting it 2,000 or 3,000 times as you polish everything out, and all the everything smooths out and all. But when you're in a hurry, hey, I want it now. So you have somebody kind of just. But let me just say this. You don't just have any Johnny-come-lately go work on a trigger on a gun, because you can be messed up so easily by somebody with a file who screws up the angle on a sear or does something. I mean, it just...
Well, you know, Tom, I'm constantly wrenching on stuff and tinkering. I wouldn't even consider messing with a gun.
No. This is, we're talking about very, very small increments. And when we talk about working on a trigger, they're probably using stones, not files. And these are like very, very fine, hard Arkansas polishing stones you'd use for sharpening a knife or something, where you're not filing, you're polishing is really what you're doing. That's really what's going on.
It was so good when I picked it up. I checked the claim check number to make sure he didn't pull a swap, and Michelle didn't swap it out on me.
Well, no, but to your point, Tom, with it, I guess part of everything is you're used to what you're used to. When we talk about training, we're used to competition type grade triggers and that type of thing. But it does make a difference as far as the crispness. And unfortunately, if you take it to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, the next thing you know, you have a malfunctioning firearm.
Now, let me just tell you how crazy compulsive we are. We're talking about doing this on the Ruger LCR, which has, according to a lot of people,
great trigger anyway.
One of the best triggers available on a double-action revolver.
It's true.
That's how crazy we are. We will take a great trigger and say, well, could you do just a little bit more to it? What's wrong with us?
Oh.
We do it because we can. That's why.
You go. Oh, Lordy. All right, Michelle. So, enough revolver talk out there. What else have you guys been shooting? Nothing. Listen, the dead silence. Huh? Me? What?
I have to start over on that one, too.
That's going in. No, you don't get to cut that out. Yeah, okay. Oh, are you guys watching the pregame? Is that what's going on?
No.
You're not paying any attention whatsoever, are you?
No.
I don't know who's least interested, you or me. I didn't, like I was telling you on break, I don't know who was playing until yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's isn't it funny though? You're into one sport and not into others, and I mean, I know a lot of guys who are just shooting, just shooting sports. Don't know what's going on in football, don't know what's going on in basketball, but they're all about the shooting. And the weird part is, and here's where it kind of gets interesting. There are people who are not in our world who don't understand all the various competitive shooting genres. And I mean, just the three of us could sit here and come up with 20 different kinds of competitive shooting, and probably would just be getting started. Trap, skeet, sporting clays, 5 stand, then you go 3 gun, and long range shooting, and just on and on and on. Not to count, the inevitable daily Detroit drive-bys, which is a whole different thing. Or Chicago. It's Chicago, the home of all the great gun control laws, where we all ought to be just like Chicago, right?
Yeah, how's that working out for them?
Not all that great right now.
Okay.
Well, there that is. We had the caller with the 6.5 Wildcat. Mm-hmm. Oh, at SHOT Show. Weatherby introduced a 6.5 by 300 Weatherby. They take the 300 Weatherby case, neck it down to 6.5. And I think that's what they did. It's a monster.
3,500 feet per second or something?
Every bit of that. Every bit of that. Maybe 3,600. Because we've shot the 26 Nosler, which is a 6.5 going super fast, and I guess this is even a little faster. But honestly, there comes a point at which it's not about the speed. I mean, yeah, you get bragging rights with that. But it's funny. We were just talking, Keith, my buddy here, who's with me, and we're hanging out at his place, doing the show from his place. He was saying he's got a 6.5 Grendel, and the 6.5 cartridge, the magic there is the long bullets with the ballistic coefficient, and it's not so much that you're pushing it fast, it's that you can reduce the amount of drift. And you can, with these high ballistic coefficient bullets, you're cutting the wind drift by about half. Wow. Which is, and for those who don't know, if you're shooting at 1,000 yards and you got a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, which is not a strong wind, you could be getting, and I'm just spitballing this, a 5-foot drift.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking not inches but feet here. And if you can cut that down by half, because you're trying to guess the wind, you don't really have a measurement system there. That's huge.
Now, how does it work, Tom, when a guy comes up with a Wildcat cartridge? Do they then do the math to figure out what the twist rate should be, or do they just start experimenting and documenting? Yeah,
they do the math. Generally, I mean, because there are so many factory cartridges now that you can't come up with a Wildcat that's not pretty close to a factory cartridge. So if you say it's going to be a 6.5 by what's-its, you just look at it and say, okay, the velocity is going to be about this based on the case capacity of the cartridge, which you say, well, that's close to a 30-06. That's close to a 300 Magnum. So we'll be able to get 3,200 feet per second. Well, with this bullet going 3,200 feet per second, we need a 1 in 8 twist, or we want a 1 in 10 twist, or whatever.
Okay.
And then they could order custom barrels made for it. And, I mean, just to show you how far folks go, he may say, well, I'm going to get 3 barrels made for this, and I'll try each of them with different twist rates. And they'll unscrew a barrel and put another one on, and then go shoot a couple hundred rounds with that, measuring every one, velocity, all of that. There are even devices, somebody called about getting a pressure barrel. There are even devices you can get that use a strain gauge. Think of it as a postage stamp size sticker with electronic circuitry in it. You just stick it onto the barrel right above the chamber, and it's connected to a computer. And actually the amount of strain or stress put on this as the metal stretches in the barrel, however infinitesimally small that is, you can get a direct readout of pressure from that strain gauge.
Wow.
Now we're getting into the how geeky can we get world.
I guess. I don't want a 1 in 10. I want 1 in 10 and a quarter.
Oh, listen, among some of these shooters, you'll start a bar fight with something like that. No, it's 10 and a half, dude. Come on, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. When the truth of it is, as long as it's doing what it's supposed to do, it's, once again, it's the shooter that's the difference. Yep. It's really not the rifle in most cases.
Why don't we take a quick pause, and then it'll give me enough time to make a list of what's wrong with me, and then I can...
It's going to be a long...
I was going to say, what kind of pause is this?
Throw a couple extra spots in there.
So we'll be back next week.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably. Walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
All right, we were talking about something vitally important before we took the break. I cannot remember what it was. I'm sure it was important, though.
No.
No, it was not. Okay, never mind then.
No,
I'm
let's
sorry.
just move on, shall we?
.org.
No,
not that.
not that one.
No, not that. Oh, gosh. All right, so how do you decide which gun you're going to carry when you have more than one gun?
Which two?
Oh, silly me.
You said that in the most singular way.
That's true. Why have one when two is so easy to carry?
Well, I think for me, the first and foremost thing I think about is where am I going and how do I have to be dressed? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing. And then, of course...
Going to the beach, that's a problem.
Right.
Especially with the AR.
It's a little difficult.
No, you roll up your blanket and your umbrella. You got one of those big old beach umbrellas, and there's an AR inside of the umbrella. There's always a way if you really are committed.
Yeah,
Yes.
never thought about that. Yep. I got to step that
I
up.
like the way he thinks.
No concerns. It's just my umbrella.
That's right. Never mind.
Pull the trigger, it sets up.
That's what you call a semi-automatic opening umbrella. Oh, gosh. No, but you're right. And I do the same thing, okay? How do I have to dress where I'm going to go? Can I wear my shirt tail out? Then I can carry almost anything. Do I have to wear a suit? Am I going to have to wear just a shirt that's tucked in? That becomes more problematic.
And belt, whether or not, you're allowed to wear a belt or can wear a belt with your, outfit of whatever is going to make a huge difference as far as holster and that.
Well, I'm thinking in your case, probably for a lot of your outfits, an exposed shoulder holster is the way to go.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
It really works. You could rock that look. So there you go.
Well, let's back up a little bit on a touchier subject.
Just?
Your whole premise was kind of made it sound like you're supposed to be carrying where you're going. What about when you go somewhere where you know you're not supposed to be carrying? That definitely affects the gun I carry.
Okay, we're not supposed to be carrying, so what do we carry there?
He's 10 millimeter.
Open. But seriously, you're going somewhere it's not illegal. It's just not, they prefer you don't.
Well, that's their problem.
Right. But that would affect
wait. I want to make sure people understand. If they say, well, yeah, we've got for instance, if they have a no-gun sign, and in some states that is legally compelling, mm-hmm. but in a lot of states it's not. If it's not a place that's specifically listed as being prohibited, to which point you go, well, then I'm going to do what I have to do. I don't think that changes what gun you have, because if you're going to carry concealed, you should be carrying in a way where there's no possibility of it becoming exposed or showing anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that's really a criteria. That kind of takes me to one other thing. Ask you guys. How many times you've run into somebody and in the conversation, you just meet somebody, and in the conversation you start talking, I like to shoot, I'm a gun guy, and they just suddenly pop out, and people you just met 3 minutes ago, oh yeah, I'm carrying right now.
Yeah.
Going, really? That's really not something you need to be volunteering to people.
Right. Or they ask you, well, what are you carrying right now? I just met you and...
Well, that's where I always say, it's not a sin to tell a lie to somebody who's not entitled to know the truth. And so I'm not carrying now. Oh, yeah, Really? Yeah, no.
Can I have your wallet then?
Says, yeah, well, yeah, it's in this right back pocket. Oh, surprise! But no, don't be volunteering to people that you're carrying. There's this almost a compulsion that some people have of volunteering that information.
Well, and a lot of that's machismo too. You meet a guy who's just wants to show you his hardware and talk about how cool he is, and it's like,
well, that's a whole different issue.
And it's one thing. It's one thing to discuss what it is that you're carrying, but that's not where it stops.
Right? Guys will pull it out, and I'm like, no,
you're right.
No.
Yeah. No, and I will stop them there. I will tell you, no, stop. Just that stays in the holster. We're not doing that. I don't know you, don't know how you can handle your gun. I'm not going to say all that, but just, hey, how about you just leave it there? It's good. Don't worry. It's all good.
Yep, seen it.
Yeah,
you seem like a believable guy.
When you run a gun store, you've seen everything, Michelle.
Yeah.
There's nothing you haven't seen there, I bet.
Oh, no. People... Yeah, no, there's not much that you haven't seen. You could go into lists of ways that people come in with different firearms and whatnot. But whether they're loaded, obviously that's the first and foremost concern that we have. So obtaining possession of that firearm in a safe manner is what we are number one keyed into. You
saw me in your store that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean we're doing a remote from Michelle's store. Cleveland's Outdoor World, and guy walks in, he wants to show me his gun, he's pulling it out, and I am making a rapid move right over to where he is so I can get my hands on it about the same time he gets his hands on it. And it was like a gentle but forceful struggle as to who was going to control this gun until I know that this thing is unloaded. Now, I'm not being mean, I just would kind of like to be safe.
Well, along those lines, when I picked up the revolver, there was a guy waiting to be serviced. And he saw your husband hand me the revolver with the cylinder open, fingers in it. And he handed it to me, and I still checked it. And this guy did an eye roll like, all three of us know it's empty. And I'm like... Yep,
we all do, don't we?
I just pretended like I didn't pick up on his
now we are all sure once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, really? Yeah. How can you be too safe?
No.
Part of it is that. Part of it, you could say, you know what? It's just a matter of showing respect also. You handed me a gun, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check and make sure it's unloaded. I know you just checked it. I don't understand how people can get upset about you being safe, though.
Yeah, I don't know. We've always made it a policy if we're carrying anything through, whether it's the store or even, from one position to the other, whether it's from the safe to the range or whatever we're doing, the action is always open. Always open.
Lock
the
action
bolt's open. Yep, the pump is whatever it is to expose
that way, anybody looking can look at it and go, okay, this gun is in a safe condition. I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
I had a guy I was shooting sporting clays with one time. And, you have to have your gun action open when you move from one station to another. And he kept his double barrel side-by-side closed. Mm. And like after the second station, I said, you need to open that action. He said, well, I just bought this. It's a Purdy. And,
they give an exception.
There's dust and things out here. And I said, well, let's just go over this one more time. You're either going to have to open that action or you're going to have to put that Purdy gun of yours back in the car because you're not walking around with me here with a closed action. Well, you know what? I don't care, dude.
The brand of your gun doesn't matter.
And here's the thing. You know what? Purdy makes great guns. And some dust is not going to affect your gun. The thing's been made to shoot in the rain and the snow and the grit, the junk. It's going to last 150 years. So, I'm sorry, but it was almost like an affectation of, well, I'm shooting a Purdy. And, okay. Sure, open the action, dude. I don't care.
Hey, Tom, are you up for a mystery caller?
But yes. Answer the phone. Let's see who it is.
Thanks for calling Gun Talk. Who are we speaking with?
This is Chris.
Hey, Chris. This is Tom Gresham. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Guess what? You've just called in to the after show. I don't know if that's what you had wanted to do, but here, surprise.
No, that's okay. I just was wondering, I just recently have gotten into cowboy action. And I've got a lever gun and a single 6 and 45 long Colts. And I was just wondering about if you had any particular loads for hunting, because I kind of wanted to try to take a deer. I know. And I load my own ammo, because factory ammo is pretty expensive for that caliber, but so it's a lot cheaper to reload. But anywho, I was just wondering if you had any particular bullet weights and stuff that you've heard of people that had success taking deer and maybe hogs.
Do you want to load? I mean, are you looking for bullets to load, or you want to buy some factory ammo for hunting?
Bullets to load.
Okay, probably. I'm just looking. Barnes has a bullet called the TAC XP. It's an all-copper bullet, 160-grain bullet, which works really well. They've got a bonded defense load. And also, if you can find, if you're into this and want to use straight hard cast lead bullets, something like a 250, 255 grain semi-wad cut or hard cast, it won't expand, but it cuts through and gives you great penetration. Now, Nosler's got a good 250 grain bullet. The only thing is, are you an experienced loader?
I don't know about experienced. I've been doing it for 4 years, so no. I mean, I would say I've loaded a few, probably a few thousand rounds, but I wouldn't call
You'll be good then. Yeah, and you know the drill is just when you change bullet weights, or even if you change bullet styles, you want to go to make sure you're using the correct load data. That is especially true when you're using lead bullets, because the loads are not the same for lead bullets as they would be for jacketed bullets. So just make sure you're looking up the right load data for that.
Yeah. Now, I did have one more question. I know I have a load book, and it talks about jacketed hollow points for a specific bullet, like the spear or the gold dot jacketed, gold dot hollow point or something like that. Could you use that data as if you found some other jacketed hollow points, or is it really specific to that exact bullet?
The correct answer is yes, it's specific to that bullet. The truth of it is, as long as you're not pushing max velocities, if you're starting on the low end, you should be just fine. Take it up to the middle range. But if you're going to be loading to the max and you say, I want all the velocity I can get out of it, then you absolutely want the data that pertains to that specific bullet. Because here's the thing. You can say it's a 150 grain bullet or a 250 grain bullet, and they're all 250 grain bullets. But they're not all the same. The construction is different, so some are harder, some are softer. That's going to affect the pressure. Some have longer bearing surfaces where there's more contact between the bullet and the barrel, as opposed to a little bit of a taper to the bullet, which has less friction, less contact with the barrel. That's going to affect pressure levels. So if you're in the middle of the load, or toward the lower end or the middle of a loading range, so they say, for instance, if it's like you can load 12 to 15 grains of this powder, if you're going to be out at the 15 range, you don't want to start there anyway, but you do want to be using the exact right load for that particular bullet, because it does make a difference. Do not change primers. That's the other thing. Do not change primers, because that can really affect the pressure. So whatever primer they specify in the load data, make sure you're using that exact primer.
Now, just for, I have, some friends who like the 44 Magnum and stuff like that for, like a sidearm for a charging hog, which if I had a charging hog, I'd just shoot it with my rifle anyways. But for the sake of the pistol that you would want to have with you, would a 45 long Colt do the trick?
Absolutely, especially if you're using bullets designed for maximum penetration. Look at the Barnes bullets.
The hard cast.
I would probably edge toward the hard cast bullets, because those are going to give you the kind of penetration you're looking for. So yeah, and 45 Colt will penetrate like crazy. Don't worry about that. It doesn't even have to be going fast. It's just amazing. It doesn't have to go fast. It'll just go through a hog.
Yeah.
I appreciate you calling. We're going to have to scoot out of here because I'm going to kick everybody out the door. And I appreciate that call. Always fun, Jim and Michelle, to take a call when you don't know where it's. No call screening.
Exactly.
It's just coming in. You know what? It might be a telemarketer. Who knows? And that would be fun, too.
Better than a bill collector.
Yes, indeed. Well, I don't know. Some bill collectors, it's fun to mess with them. I got to tell you, a friend of mine gets a call from somebody, some pitch man selling something, right? Investment opportunities. And my buddy, who's a jokester, he says, "Oh, man, am I ever glad you called." He says, "I just had a couple of CDs mature. I've got all this money sitting in the bank, and I did not know what to do with this. Could you tell me all about this?" And then he just put the phone down. He said he'd walk back like every 3 or 4 minutes and pick it up, and the salesman is just going on and on and on. He's like, "Oh, I got a live wire here, man." Don't know how long it went on, but it's just like, I've always wanted to do that. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, or hand the phone to a 2-year-old. My investment counselor handles all my big money deals.
This is where all my money goes. Here, let me exactly hand it to the person who's actually eating up all the money here. There you go.
Well, go enjoy your football. You football kind of guy.
We're going to be doing that, and you guys have a safe week. And I don't know, Michelle. I think you got to go talk to somebody about working on that gun.
No. It's perfect the way it is.
Now's the time just to go shoot it a lot. That's the whole thing.
That's right.
For somebody that says, well, I don't know about getting a trigger shop, or the other way to go is to go buy 1,000 rounds of ammo. And just shoot the heck out of it. You'll get better, and the gun gets better as you shoot the first 1,000 rounds anyway.
There you go.
Well, there's always an answer out there. And if it costs money, we're all about it.
It must be right.
That's right. Have a good week, guys.
Be good.
We'll see you, Tom.
Well, there you go. Another Gun Talk After Show is in the can. We sure do appreciate you sticking around. And remember, everything Gun Talk is available 24/7 at guntalk.com. See you next week for the Gun Talk After Show.